Welcome to Mind in Abyss, a Minecraft server themed after the anime Made in Abyss. This server is a fantastic recreation of the Abyss from the first layer down to the 5th. This server has monsters and items featured in the anime all using plugins, I think, so you don't even need mods if you want to join. This server basically has everything you would want, right? Wrong. There are no frogs. None. Whatsoever. Why did I mention frogs? I'll get to that. Hello, my name is Arago, and I've been playing on Mind in Abyss since 2020, and during my time on the server, I've never done anything interesting, really. I never hosted or participated in any events. I never built anything big. Hell, I never even spoke to anyone. I always wanted to make some kind of mark on the server, I just didn't know how, and this is where the frogs come into play. So last year in November, the server finally reset and they added the much anticipated Eder front location to layer 5. However, one thing they didn't add was frogs. Now I noticed because when I was cruising the suggestion forums, some guy wanted them to be added to the game. You can buy several different buckets from the villagers at Orth, but for whatever reason you can't get tadpoles. And apparently it's because they plan to add the server's own frog mob. Now normally I wouldn't really care about frogs like at all, but some random twist of fate had driven me to this honestly unhealthy obsession. So let me take you back to where this journey started. It was during December of last year, and I was just casually building a base in the Great Fault, and I just had a sudden urge to explore Ederfront. I know the addition of Ederfront was like a big thing, but I kind of just wanted to build a base on every layer first. But like, now I was getting impatient, so I went straight down, and after a few minutes of descent, I was finally there. So here I am, just running around the halls and entering every door and pressing every button. Now, very important thing about that, while you can't break any blocks in Ederfront, because it's a protected location and all, for whatever reason, you can break and take items that are stored in any chests, barrels, and most importantly, item frames. Builders use item frames in many different locations for decorations, but they need to be careful on what is put in the frames, because as long as the frames are unprotected, players can just take them. So with this in mind, I stumbled into some kind of bedroom. I don't really notice anything significant about this room until I lay my eyes upon the catalyst of my shenanigans. An item frame with frog spawn, and my brain just makes the connection between the forum post I read and what was before me, and my eyes just light up, and I yoinked it without a second thought. I was shocked that like no one else had found this, since I was one of the later arrivals to Ederfront. The funny thing here is that you can't even get frog spawn in vanilla Minecraft, let alone Mind in Abyss. It's an unobtainable block. They're like turtle eggs, but you can't silk touch it. So this was even rarer and an even better scenario than if I just got a tadpole bucket, since you can get at least 3 tadpoles from a frog spawn. Now with my loot, I bolt back to my base and I built a frog habitat to start breeding. And after maybe 30 minutes, frog, frogurt, and battle turtle were born. Now just a quick side note, when you bucket up a tadpole, you get an advancement for it, which is announced in server chat. And I didn't know this and I kind of panicked when it happened, but I think the server was really busy at the time, so no one bothered paying attention to like the 67th player who upgraded to a stone pickaxe or anything like that. So with some more waiting, I ended up with 2 shulkers full of tadpole buckets and several more frogs in the habitat. Now, you might be asking, what did I do after this? Did I secretly share my frogs to other people? Did I go to different layers and scatter my froggy friends to ensure their survival? No, I didn't. Instead, with my higher intelligence, I shared a screenshot of my crimes to the Discord server. I'll let that just sit with you. I shared the evidence with everyone on the server. I probably had one of the rarest things in the server, and I just threw it all away. And embarrassingly, it was for clout. Yeah, I'm not proud to admit it. Remember at the start when I said I wanted to make a mark on the server? Well, apparently the only mark I'll be leaving is a shit stain, because after I went to bed, a moderator saw that and smited my attention-seeking ass and the innocent frogs. I was definitely humbled that day, and I learnt a very valuable lesson. Don't upload yourself committing a crime. Well, since this video exists, I learned absolutely nothing. The frogs didn't deserve to die for my mistakes, so now I was left frogless and dejected. I replaced them with axolotls, but it wasn't the same. I had no idea what to do now. return to playing normal Minecraft. There was no way I could just do that after all the fun I just had. I just saw my chance at something amazing, and I wasn't letting it end anticlimactically like that. So here I am in my base with all of the frogs and tadpoles poofed from existence, even the ones I hid underneath the floor, and the moderator who destroyed them TPs to me to, I don't know, have a little chat. So that guy's Benner. He's a pretty chill mod, but he's still stirred enough to enforce the rules when he has to. So my frogs were like no exception. I didn't get punished for my amphibious antics, I think because my rule breaking wasn't that severe. You know, just some guy playing around with frogs and casually announcing his crimes. A lot of people actually asked me for some frogs, which I was very happy to give out for free since I thought it wasn't going to be fair for me to gatekeep or sell them. It was so awkward to explain to them that they were gone. Anyways, I digress. So here we are, Benner and I having a little chat. He's being a little silly because that's him. I negotiate for my water buckets back at the very least, then roll a nat 1 in charisma. Fuck me. That was like a stack of iron, Benner. Come on. And as we're talking, I'm just rifling through my chests, like because I'm crafting something or whatever. And in one of my chests, I see something I could have never expected to see. Yep, from some divine intervention, a single tadpole bucket just sat there in my material chest. This tadpole bucket was probably something I put in there absent-mindedly and forgot about. But now this forgotten frog was the last hope of the frogs. Now, I have no idea how Benner missed this tadpole, because I asked him how he got the ones I hid and got a non-answer, nat fucking one. So I quickly stashed my tadpole back into the chest and pretend I'm a good, upstanding player when I'm now a criminal. How in the world did he miss this? Like, I thought there were ways to track this. Did Benner genuinely miss this bucket? Or did he leave it on purpose knowing I couldn't make another frog with only one? I mean, he seemed like the type of guy to troll players like that. Well, none of that mattered now because I needed to get to work. Now, there was only one way for me to be able to revive the frogs, and that is if I duped the bucket. Now, let me explain real quick. I don't really like duping, so this seems a little hypocritical to be trying to do this, but in my eyes, frogs are different. They don't provide any kind of material value, like diamond or enchantment books, plus they don't even sell these at the villages, nor do they have any way to obtain them, so I'm not even devaluing another player's hard work and grinding. I'm not going to even sell these little goobers myself, so there's no way I'm the bad guy, right? Anyway, when it comes to duping and exploiting, I have no experience whatsoever. I have no idea how that shit works. I'm just an idiot. In my eyes, exploiters are like players who are smart and shit and poke into the game's code and look around for vulnerabilities. What the fuck am I looking at? I have no idea what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm just throwing shit at the wall until something sticks. It was so stupid. So here were several methods I thought up. Some of them involve the section transfer system of the Abyss. If you don't know what that is, let me do a quick 101 course. On the server, the whole Abyss is broken down into several portions since the whole Abyss can't fit into Minecraft's height limit. So then you have Layer 1, Section 2, Section 3, and so forth. When you get to the bottom of one section, you teleport to the next section of the layer. Don't worry about seeing the void whenever you're walking around. Each section itself is still pretty huge. So anyway, whenever you're walking up to the next section, or when you're walking down to the next section, you'll notice that it's not a hard cutoff. So if you're looking down from the upper section, you'll notice a small snippet of the last section, and vice versa of the below layer. I call this the neutral zone, an area both sections share and that can be interacted with. And you might be asking, but Arigo, where do you walk to get teleported? Good question. Each section has the exact line where if you cross it, you get teleported. I call this the cross point. You'll see this in the footage here. I'm in the neutral zone right under the cross point, and if I jump to the next block, boom, I'm in the next section. And notice how this location remains similar to where I just was. This is that neutral zone I was just on about. And if we go and look down there, the cross point to go to the below layer is somewhere down there. So let's take a look. And there we go. And if we go back up, we're back in the neutral zone. This is what most of my methods revolved around, trying to exploit this mechanic. So, method number 1, place chest, put item in chest, go to next section, break chest and collect contents, go back and collect items. Now, this failed because the chest in the section you leave will be gone when you get back, so that was a bust. I honestly thought that each section was somehow in its own self-contained world, but I'm just stupid. They're all like side by side in the world, which is crazy to think about. Method 2, place item frame, put item in frame, go next section, break frame and get item, go back and collect extra item. Now this failed because the blocks placed will appear in the next section, but since the item frames are like entities, they can't appear for whatever reason. Method 3, something to do with monsters grabbing people's shit. Now I remember multiple instances of people's shit being yoinked by monsters, so maybe? I don't know, man. Yep, so that's about how well that went. Method 4, place clay pot, put item in clay pot and do basically the same thing as the other shits. Funny things, I found ways to destroy items with this method. One involves putting an item in one pot in the below section and putting another item in the same pot in the above section. The second method is literally just putting an item in a hopper that's above the pot. Crazy how I lost an axolotl with this method. Also, I found a way to dupe bricks. I didn't report this one because who cares about duping bricks, like seriously. It's also wildly inefficient, like just go dig up clay or buy that ore. It's so much easier. Method 5, using a dispenser. Just to dispense the item. Yeah, you can tell there was no way this was working. Fun fact, by the way, dispensers don't work at the uppermost point of a section, but can work at the lowest point. Crazy. Method 6, this needs another person to help me, so basically a chest in the neutral zone, one person in the upper layer, and one in the below layer. Both open chests and try to take out the item. This failed because the chest data is actually kept consistent in both sections. A friend of mine actually thought this was interesting and praised the devs for being able to do that. Man, fuck the devs, they're stopping me from breaking the rules. I actually figured out a way to dupe spore blossoms, which also isn't a renewable item, but I reported that exploit and it got patched. So those were my methods. I spent most of my playtime for weeks trying to figure out a way, but in the end I failed. I needed help from people who were more knowledgeable in this area. I needed help from some experienced players, so I reached out to some strangers and asked for some help. This actually took place before method number 6. Now, I was actually informed that weeks ago, there was a dupe glitch with the backpacks in the server which was patched. So if I had reached out way sooner, I would have been able to dupe the dang bucket ages ago. Fuck. Anyway, I joined the Discord server and I hopped on call with a group of people. We had a short chat on some methods and the state of the server. This really didn't go anywhere and I ultimately gained nothing from it, so that was also a bust. However, there was one snippet of information that I did learn from this, is that I could potentially try and breed my frog with the frog at Eiderfront. Let me explain. At Eiderfront, this building had a single frog in it. This was my chance. They theorized some kind of way to break into the terrarium and breed the frogs. We as a group never attempted this, but I was going to take matters into my own hands. This plan was going to leave the drawing board. So with my friend who helped me with method number 6, we sailed to Eiderfront and searched the dang place for 2 whole hours. We had no idea where this little zoo was. And when we finally found it, the only thing that separated us was a block of glass. It was staring at us, taunting us. Because we had no way to get in at the time, we logged off. The next day, I'm on my own. I aught myself and by a bunch of ender pearls, I was going to try and glitch through the glass. So the first attempt was basically just me jamming myself into the wall. That did not work, but I then recalled that my friends and I would always glitch onto the nether roof with pearls in SMPs. So what if I tried that? I ended up glitching into some kind of pocket above the frog enclosure, so that was a bust. But it then occurred to me that what if I tried to get in through the basement? Funny thing is that the building is an unfinished one. The entrance has a little moat that opens up to the hollowed bottom of the building. So using the climb mechanic in the server and the pearls I glitched through into a pocket right below the zoo, I line up the chords of the frogs I noted down and boom, I'm in. And then I bred the frogs and brought on a frog revolution. No, that didn't happen. Here's what actually happened. Yep, I fucking killed it. Why did I do this? Why? You know when you're playing Minecraft with the bros and you just, you just give them a little love tap because it's funny? Yeah, I did that to the frog and it fucking crumpled. I can't believe I fucking did that. Why was it on 1 health? I told my friend and they weren't happy since we spent hours finding the frog. So not only did I rat out my own frogs, but I also killed the very last frog on the server. There was no way I could redeem myself unless I succeeded. Some good-ish news, depending on how you see it. I couldn't do anything with the frog. I couldn't feed it. I couldn't put it on lead. Anything, except punch it. I also couldn't place down my bucket. So I guess nothing was lost, if you want to look at it that way. I left a record of my sins at the bottom of Bondrude's elevator pit and bailed. I said I could only redeem myself if I succeeded, but I honestly didn't know what to do. I exhausted all of my methods and had nothing left to try, so I just went back to playing normally for a few weeks. I finished my L3 base, I explored the 4th and 5th layer, and that was about it. Here I am, just exploring the abyss and playing normally. You know, the game became a whole lot more enjoyable when I wasn't being a crazy scientist, minus the scientist. I'm just walking up the abyss, I teleport and boom! Scared you. Anyway, when I tried to click on a stack of food, I accidentally clicked on a stack of ender pearls, and the stack was duplicated. I went from 1.5 stacks to 2.5 stacks. Normally, I wouldn't notice this, but since I was so used to checking my inventory for item counts during my experimentation phase, I saw this and my heart rate skyrocketed. I immediately went back and replicated the conditions of that dupe. And just like that, 1 bucket became 2 and I was ecstatic. I could finally redeem myself for my mistakes and revive the frog population. Now, just to clear some things, I never reported this dupe because I actually don't know how to do it. When I tried streaming to show my friend, every attempt afterwards failed and I have no idea how I did it. Maybe I just lucked out those 2 times. I have genuinely no idea. I shared my findings with my friends and this was the beginning of a new stage. I dug out a little frog hole and breeded them in secret. No more sharing images of my crimes to the Discord. This time, it would be different. I was so excited I stayed up really late, building up the population and finally had a full shulker box. I then told the group chat of players that was created for the frogs about the achievement and they were fully on board with spreading the frogs. I just continued with the preparations. Benner, a force of the abyss. When he got rid of my frogs, for me, it was my worst day on the server. But for him, it was probably just a Sunday. And he came once again to ruin my day. God dang it, Banner. One day I log on and my tadpole shulker boxes are just empty. I had no idea how he found out this time. I didn't post anything, nor was anyone in that group chat a snitch, probably. There were no clues Banner could have picked up, other than the fact that I found his old base and put a few frogs in the walls. Yep. Hey, it wasn't my fault. My friend told me to do it. They said it'd be funny, so I did it. Now, you might think that this ends my shenanigans once and for all, but you would be wrong. I put more frogs in several different locations as fail-safes, just in case Benner checked my ender chest again. I will not fail again, but he failed to take into account the indomitable human spirit. Fuck you, Benner. So anyway, after the nearest of misses, I gave the frogs to the fellas in the group chat and spread the frogs to some other people. So at the end of the day, mission success. We did it, gang. The frog sire has risen from the grave to save us all. I just hope after or during the making of this video, the server doesn't choose the nuclear option and just put in some weird command or plugin to completely destroy my frogs. That'd suck a lot. So at the end of the day, the frogs have been spread around the server and I'm now a cool kid. Oh yeah. Okay, so not really, but hey, I've redeemed myself from my mistakes and I've finally done something cool. Let's just hope the mods don't just obliterate all frogs through some server function after this, since the earlier removals was just Benner's manual handiwork. Just another quick note, if it was any other mod, like, I mean, I don't know any other mods on Mine and Abyss, to be honest, but just in general, if it was just any like unfeeling, unemotional mod that was just like, yep, your frog is gone, don't talk about it or I'm banning you. Like, if it was anyone like that, then I'd be a little bit angry. But because Benner is just such a joyous, jolly person, it's kind of hard to get angry. I mean, you know, I shouldn't be getting angry to begin with anyway, since I'm breaking the rules. But like, I just can't bring myself to hate the guy. He's just such a jolly person while he murders my frogs. I mean, come on, just let us have this. I don't see any harm in it. I mean, you let us have axolotls, why not frogs? Anyway, that's all for now, bye-bye. Yeah, so during the time between the making of this video and when the frogs were spread around the server, I didn't play on much anymore because I was doing something else. And when I finally got back on, they got rid of the frogs. Yeah, so, whenever you try to place a tadpole bucket, no tadpole spawns, only the water does. So they basically made all the frogs sterile, I guess, in a way. Also, they got rid of all the frogs that I think were put in some kind of river somewhere, and also in some houses maybe. So yeah, at the end of the day, we lost. But hey, I mean, honestly, I think this was the best case scenario we could have gotten. I mean, obviously the best case scenario is us keeping the frogs and like hiding them somewhere, but like, we got to be realistic here. You're fighting against the whole server with commands and shit. So there's only so much you can do. Best case scenario was what we got in the end. And you might be asking, Arigo, what are you going to do next? What crazy thing are you going to do next? And nothing really. I mean, I did enjoy the frog exploiting or whatever, but the only reason why I felt the need to continue this wacky journey was because, I mean, I felt like this whole story ended a bit too soon at the start, where Benner just came and got rid of all my frogs at my base. So I just felt the need to continue this story further and not let it end so anticlimactically like that. So hey, at the end of the day, it's all cool. Whatever. Have a good day.